Hey everybody, thanks for coming back. You know, we're putting this VK1000 together. That's 1,000 cc's of awesomeness with this beastly snail on it, otherwise known as a turbo. It's going to eventually get nitrous. It's going to be pretty cool. I have no idea how it's going to work, but everything is in. We've got our jack shafts in, the axle shaft is in, the case is on, the chain case. It's got reverse now. However, they built an RX-1 with no reverse. I have no idea what they were thinking. I don't know, maybe people who buy them are usually bigger than me, but anyway, now's the time to put this baby in. This is the Van Amburg Enterprises double pass cooler. Now, if you look at this, this will fit on, this is built specifically for this machine, but they can build these for a 16-inch tunnel, no problem. I have one on my IQR. You get double the amount of cooling in half the space. My IQR only has about this much at the very back of my tunnel. And that actually helps when we're doing these custom jobs. Sometimes you have track clearance issues and you want everything at the back, and that's really where most of your snow sprays up. Anyway, right in this back section right here, right from about there to there, track pulls it up, that's where your cooling's happening. And I never have any issues with my IQR, which is getting the 860 right now. For this beast, I want to see how big we could go, and this is going to offer a lot of cooling. There's no doubt about it. I think I added up all the lengths of this and it comes to about 16 feet of cooling. So that's a lot. We're gonna put it in this monster. It's not very hard to do. With your custom applications, easy peasy. They built this in no time. This is actually a really fast build for them. It's not very hard to do. Some 45s, a little bit of TIG welding, and they're all done. But we're gonna install this in the VK1000 Turnitrobeast. Usually with your sleds, you can sort of work it out pretty easily. But we have this box cover on here. So all I'm gonna do is set this up, mark it, come in from the angle, from the side, mark it, and then I'll run that right across. And that's that. Once we get these coming up through the tunnel, then we can more or less just hold that in place and start to rivet. Added benefits of these coolers are actually pretty substantial. When you have a cooler, a lot of older sleds just had one solid cooler. They were attached to each other. So you had your hot coolant going back, it would eventually cool down and go back into your sled. But what they're finding is there's still some heat energy transfer in there. You're not really cooling it down the way you want. So if you spread it into a U cooler, which is more common now, most sleds have a U cooler, it cools it a lot more rapidly, and that's what you want. But just this U-type, man, it just gives you a whole lot of extra cooling, and that's what you want when you're dealing with, especially these powder sleds. I mean, this has an 1.5 inch lug on it. If you're dealing something with anything over an inch, they have issues cooling if you're not running scratchers or if you're just on a hard packed trail. The guys know, the mountain guys know, you're gonna start to overheat. More cooling, the better it is. All right. Let's do this. Glasses on. Got my hole saw. I'm just gonna take a look. There's nothing under there. I always go a little oversized with these. It's going to take up, you know, this little bit of extra weld. I'll have a little bit of wiggle room on there, and it usually works out just fine for me. Oh. I knew that was going to happen. I'm just like, I got to let off, bang. You know what? We didn't like that bit anyway, Simon.
No.
No.
That was a pretty bad bit.
That was a bad bit. You shouldn't have to force that hard. You know what? That's a tungsten bit too. There we go. Let's see how I was, my measurements. Looks good to me. I can still move it around if I have to. That's good. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill a few little pilot holes in this so I can come up through the bottom and rivet it easily. I'm drilling around my turbo here, but I have everything blocked up. Check out that turbo. Nice. Before I install this, I'm gonna clean up all these holes. So you can see there's some excess from the drill. You just take an old drill bit, just do that with it. Some people will take a drill bit and they'll put a handle on it, make it a little easier to use. That's easy to do with aluminum and even steel for that matter. But if you don't do this, you're gonna get not a very good contact surface when you try to rivet it in. It's going to sort of remain raised a little bit. You don't want that. You want this to seal right up against your tunnel so there's no movement, and as it will act a little bit better as a heat sink as well. It'll spread the heat all across your tunnel. It gives you extra cooling. So, this one. Still in those holes. Now, it's sort of like the key to this, you don't put one in the front or one in the back and then one at the very front, because there's a little bit of flex in all this. And as you sort of start to come in, it's going to put a little bit of added stress on it. So you kind of want to work your way in or out or from one end all the way to the other. I'm just going to put another one right here. Not there. This thing's going to have a lot of cooling. All right, now it's just time to drill a lot of holes. Do lots of riveting. Where are we? Right there. I'm using steel rivets for this. I've used aluminum in the past, and they don't hold up. They start to move and jiggle, and then they sort of get a little loose. At least that's my experience. There we go. Let's take a look at this thing. Ooh. That's a lot of cooling in there. That's going to be good. So I got to thank Van Amburg Enterprises. I got to thank you guys for showing up as usual. And make sure you go to my forum, www.powermods.com/forum. Go in there and ask questions. It makes things really easy on me. And we'll see you guys soon. Yeah. Beastly.